Another genre of books that is just really not for me are self-help books. They irk me so badly. They annoy me. Every time I read a self-help book, or like I try to, I'm just like, stop telling me what to do! Hi everybody, and welcome back to my booktube channel, Books with Leo, and today I am here to do the anti-TBR tag, I think. This tag was created by Books Nick Hall. This tag is all about the books that you do not want to read or you don't ever plan on reading, and I thought this was a lot of fun because a lot of times on booktube it's all sunshine and rainbows and I love this book and that book, but the things that we read that we actually really did not like don't come to light, which is, well, I mean, unless you make rants, of course, but I don't think I'm very well suited for that. But I am going to be doing this tag, so let's just get right into it. And a very weird but fun fact is that I've already decided what my answers are in advance, which is great, because normally, a lot of times when I do tags, I do not do this, and that ends up in very messy videos where I have to come up with the answers simultaneously whilst I'm filming, which is just not... wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is a popular book that you have no interest in reading. And my answer for this is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I've recently read Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, and I've also read A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first one, and I've read part of the second book in ACOTAR. But I don't feel really compelled to try any of her other series because a lot of times when I read her books, they just fall short a little bit for me. I don't love them as much as I would have wanted to love them, and that just makes me really sad. Because like I feel like left behind, I'm like, guys, I want to love this too, but I just sort of don't really. Like, it's not that I hate her books, they just don't really do it for me, I guess. So yeah, that's my answer for this question. The second question is a classic book or author that you have no interest in reading. Now, this was a very hard or a very easy question for me because a lot of classics, I don't feel like I'll ever go read them. I'm just not really big on classics. I am attempting to read like Edgar Allan Poe and some more old books just to like get a better grasp of literature because my teacher said it would be a good idea. But I genuinely don't feel like you're not a reader if you don't read classics. I think that's such bullshit. Of course you're as long as you read things and you like reading, you're a reader. Like, it doesn't matter how much you read or what you read exactly or how you read, you know, if you listen to audiobooks, still reading in my opinion. So that, just with that all out of the way, I do try to read classics, but they're not really my favourite thing, if I'm being very honest. And one classic that I will never ever attempt to read ever again is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I know this is a favourite for a lot of people. Like, one of my best friends, this is also one of her favourite books, but I really don't care. It is all so slow in this book. There's literally nothing happening. They're just sitting around all day. I don't know, maybe that was very normal in the 1800s, but it's not something I enjoy reading a lot. It was all so long-winded. It all felt so slow. And I do tend to enjoy slow stories, but just not this one. And also I think, I don't know, classics make me feel dumb a lot of the times. They make me feel like I'm not smart enough to actually comprehend what's happening in the book. And of course that depends on the classic, because I have read some classics where I didn't feel this way. I think maybe it's also because English is my second language, and when I read classics in Dutch, it's a little bit easier for me and I tend to enjoy them more. But I do know for sure Little Women is a classic I will never ever pick up ever again. Okay, so the next questions are sort of tied together, and that's an author whose work you're not interested in reading and a problematic author whose work you're not interested in reading. And it's kind of funny because I have two Mayas for this question. So an author whose work I'm not interested in anymore is Marissa Meyer, who wrote Renegades and also the Lunar Chronicles. I have tried to read the Lunar Chronicles when I was a bit younger, but I just didn't really care, and it wasn't really my thing. I never really properly got into it, so maybe if I would attempt again, I would actually like it, but I don't really feel like doing that anymore. The Lunar Chronicles is supposed to be this really feminist, cool sci-fi world, so I do know that a lot of people love it, and her Renegade series is about superheroes. A lot of people on BookTube have really enjoyed this series, and I've read the first book, and I was just like, well, you know, it was fun, but I don't know, it didn't like touch me or anything. I didn't care that much. And a problematic author is Stephanie Meyer, who wrote Twilight. I read Twilight when I was very young. I was way too young. I was like 9 or 10. Way too young to be reading Twilight. Maybe 11. I don't know. I was just young. And I remember feeling so claustrophobic whilst reading Twilight. I'm not sure why, but it gave me a bad vibe. And then I watched the films when I was a little bit older with my friends at like slumber parties and stuff, and I don't know, I still never became like a Twilight fan, and especially in light of the things that have come up with Stephenie Meyer and some issues surrounding her writing, I really, really, really don't feel tempted to ever read her books again, and I'm not interested in Twilight either way. So like everybody was talking about the new book, like Midnight Sun, and I was just like, oh, I really don't care. I could care less. I really don't care. But yeah, I have nothing against people who enjoy like anybody's work I'm talking about in this video, of course, but it wasn't for me, I guess. The fourth question is an author that you've tried a couple of books from and you've decided that their books are just not for you. To be fair, like that's almost all the authors I've talked about in this video so far, because I just feel like I have to at least attempt reading something before I can truly judge and say that that's not my taste, you know. But of course sometimes you're just not interested in advance, and that's fine too. But that's why all my answers have sort of been like this question already. But the author that I wrote down for this question specifically was Marissa Meyer. I know, I feel like all the questions are melting into each other at this point, but that's probably my fault as well. But yeah, I've talked about Marissa Meyer already, so we get the gist. The next question is a genre you've tried to get into, but you couldn't get into, or a genre that you're just not interested in. And for me, that's definitely non-fiction books. I'm just really not big on non-fiction books. I'm not sure if it counts as a genre, but I really love fiction so much more, and I enjoy reading fiction books so much, and non-fiction books just, I don't know, they just fly right over my head. I don't really care. Another genre of books that is just really, really, really not for me are self-help books. They irk me so badly. They annoy me. Every time I read a self-help book, or like I try to, I'm just like, stop telling me what to do! It's so ridiculous because like I picked up that book, you know, but I can't bear it. And sometimes I can, like when I do particularly like the author, or I particularly like the way it's written or anything, but a lot of the times when I try a self-help book, I want to just throw it across the room, you know? And also a genre, I'm not sure if this counts as a genre, but something that I'm really bad at is reading short story collections, because I'm the type of reader who just wants to read a book cover to back, you know? I just want to fly through it, read the whole thing. And I do know that with short story collections, it's more meant to like enjoy a short story every now and then, but I can't do that. I can't do it. It annoys me. I want one storyline, I just want to read it cover to cover, and I don't like the idea of having to pick up one, like that's a big commitment, you know. It might take you years if you just read one story at a time every now and then, and that annoys me. That makes me nervous. But I guess short story collections are not for me. I do, however, attempt to read short story collections every now and then, because I'm very stubborn, and I'm just like, I must be able to like this at some point. Question number 6 is a book that you've bought or borrowed or got from the library that you will never read. And for me, this is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Like I said, I've attempted to read this book, but I will never ever finish it, I think. I also think that it's a really beautiful copy. I have like the leather bound copy. It looks beautiful on my shelves, but I will never attempt to read it again. And another book that I don't think I'll ever read is Magic by like the Septimus Heap book. I read that when I was a child, so I've already read it. But I don't think I'll ever reread it, and I was planning on rereading it when I bought the copy. But I don't know, the writing style was very young and it just didn't fit me anymore. And even though I do read a lot of middle grade, because I enjoy middle grade as a genre, I don't know, this story felt particularly young, but I am holding on to that book just in case like my younger nieces, or maybe when I one day have children, maybe they can read it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I feel a lot of nostalgia around that book as well, so I don't want to put it away. Question number 7 is a series you have no interest in reading, or a series you have DNF'd. And for this, I have several answers. Not to say that I'll never finish either of these series, but as it is right now, I don't think I will. The first one is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Sorry! I started this series a very long time ago. When I first started my booktube channel in Dutch, so that's a really long time ago, and it was one of the first books that I started reading in English again, so it was like what got me into reading again, but I never felt compelled to pick up the second book, and I'm not sure why. I just didn't really care. I was just like, I don't know. I don't really care about the second book, I guess. Some things that just annoyed me in the book, like I felt Jude was a bit illogical with her choices sometimes, and that irked me a little bit. And so I never felt like I should read the second or the third book, or I don't know how many books it is at this point in time. But I do still own the first book, and I love the copy. It's so beautiful. It's got like beautiful illustrations on the inside, and it's really beautiful. I do remember at the time of reading it, I enjoyed it massively, and I was recommending it left and right. But I never felt like I wanted to pick up the second book, and that happens to me a lot, actually. I don't mind, to be honest. And the last question on this list is a new release that you have no interest in reading. And for me personally, I think this is Eddie LaRue. I just don't, by V.E. Schwab, by the way. I felt like I wanted to read this book, and I felt like I would really love it because I love slow stories, and I've heard that a lot of people say this is a very slow story. But then there were coming in some more negative reviews and some more things from people that didn't really enjoy it. And then I was just like, I feel like this will get me into a reading slump, also because I've had experiences with V.E. Schwab before where I didn't like her books. There was only one book of her so far that I really adored, and that was Vicious. And I feel like this book is so starkly different from Vicious that it's just not a good idea for me to pick it up. So I don't think I'll ever read Eddie LaRue, but maybe one day I'll be so tempted by all the good things that I've heard as well, and then I will read it. But at this point in time, I don't think I will. So this was my video about all the books I don't think I will ever read. I hope it didn't offend too many people. Of course, if you love these books, if these are some of your favourites, well, that's fine. I don't care. I hope you enjoy them a lot and you love them. Totally fine. Just not my personal taste. Thank you so much, Nicole, for creating such a cool tag once again. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.